we're back on the air. Yes, flying on the air in our mighty spaceship.
Yeah!
We're back, baby!
Wait, that's not right.
We're back, everyone!
Party!
This isn't it either. Wait, hold on. There's just so many of these damn things. Okay, here it is.
We're back, baby!
It's finally back. Again. The first episode of Hulu's revival of Futurama dropped last week, and thankfully, it looks like the series is in good hands.
Don't reboot a show if the quality isn't gonna be there.
But I'm not expecting you to take the show's word for it. I'm expecting you to take my word for it. I'm going to take you through the episode and point to the signs that I think indicate the series is being handled well, as well as some areas of concern. We'll also compare the episode to Futurama re-premieres in the past, because I think it's a sign of good things to come. Also, spoiler alert for the new episode of Futurama. It's been out for a week. Go watch it. Come on. Anyway, let's start with the re-premieres. Futurama has been fully cancelled and later sprung up on a new channel 3 times now, which has created a bit of an evolution of the re-premiere, so to speak, of Futurama. Don't get me wrong, Bender's Big Score, Rebirth, and The Impossible Stream are all wildly different episodes, but they have sort of rhyming beats to them.
It's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
For example, Fry is presumed dead by the crew in all 3 episodes. In Bender's Big Score, Bender thinks he kills him in the past, and they go as far as having a funeral for him that he interrupts.
But I killed you in 2012!
Without spending too much time on Rebirth, Fry dies in an explosion more than everybody else dies, and
I tossed him into the stem cells, but he just bubbled away like phlegm on a hot sidewalk.
only for him to pop out later in the episode.
Hey, where's my shoes?
And that brings us to The Impossible Stream, the latest episode. Fry is turned into a pile of ash, only to reveal moments later that he was already out of the suit that had caught fire. I'll get into the whole plot of the episode in a bit if you haven't watched it and don't care. My point is, look at how similar these clips feel.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was already here.
You're dead.
I am?
They rhyme.
Killing Fry with fire only for him to rise up from the ashes reborn might feel a bit on the nose, but the only precedent for a series returning over and over like this is Futurama, so they kinda get to write the trope the way they want to. The Fry-Phoenix parallel isn't the only through line between these episodes. All 3 restarts include a cold open, which is something the series moved away from after the first few seasons. The Impossible Stream is the first cold open we've seen in Futurama since Rebirth, and their similarities are striking, but we'll get to that in a moment. First, I want to talk about Bender's Big Score, because the cold open of that movie is a bit different from its counterparts. The movie takes the time to introduce the cast individually before getting into anything. If you're new to the series, they at least want you to know who's who. The later 2 reboots forego introductions entirely. They know who's watching this, Futurama fans. We don't need to be reintroduced to the crew. We need confirmation that the back door that you obviously installed in the series finale is in fact the back door that we believed it to be when we saw that episode. We all knew that when they went into the wormhole in the wild green yonder, that the series could continue from that point.
Yeah, we're back.
Just like we knew that when Fry said,
Want to go around again?
there's a chance that the show could return again. Both reboots use that cold open time to tell us what we had already hoped. This isn't for new viewers. They don't have the context for this nonsense. This is for us, steadfast, die-hard Futurama fans that will watch the show on repeat on Hulu for years until they take the hint and buy new episodes. That need to justify the in-universe return of the show while skipping any sort of general introduction to the characters is a very promising sign of good things to come, as far as I'm concerned. Another reboot through line is the meta references in the series cancellation. This is such a Futurama staple it even shows up in random episodes.
Wow, Fox has really streamlined the process.
Rebirth definitely has the most mild meta reference. It's a one-off line that sort of forces
Comedy Central Channel
into the dialogue. Bender's Big Score, on the other hand, gets a lot more aggressive with their meta commentary. And I don't mean it's the most meta, I mean it's aggressive.
Not just fired, but beaten up too, and pretty badly. In fact, most of them died from their injuries.
Don't get me wrong, we should do this to all executives I'm just saying, it's aggressive. But the latest episode is certainly the most meta the show has ever gotten. Though interesting side note, the in-show streaming service is called Hulu, specifically not Hulu, which is a demonstration of extreme cowardice on Hulu's part, if you ask me. What am I talking about? I'm a fan of quite a few of Hulu's original animated programs. Solar Opposites and Animaniacs specifically come to mind, as shows that have referenced Hulu by its proper name.
We are gonna make a fortune with this show.
Hell, the Animaniacs do this whole thing where they imply that they're back because Hulu chucked a bunch of money at them. It's like in their theme song.
You should see our new contracts.
But Hulu knew that with Futurama, the network was gonna be the butt of the joke, and they didn't want to get their little corporate feelings hurt.
Have a good one.
And to take one final shot at the streaming service I've subscribed to for years, and which has brought back my favorite piece of media 10 years after it was canceled, this joke is already outdated. Hulu is already $14.99 without ads and $7.99 with ads. They increased their price so much you can't even make a fucking joke about it. Once again, thank you very much for bringing back my beloved Futurama. I think the point I was making is that the episode is a lot more meta than previous episodes.
It feels like we got rebooted. We're back, baby.
I'm subscribing to Hulu.
Which final season? They got canceled like 3 or 4 times.
Loserama. Maybe they'll drop a new season.
It got canceled 10 years ago. TV shows don't come back after that. No way. Not on broadcast or cable.
What about Hulu?
Maybe we can get them to reboot it as a streaming series.
The one that got canceled 3 times?
How does a show get canceled this many times? By this many networks?
The writing and the executive producing really went downhill towards the end. Any TV show that truly cares about its audience, that loves and respects them must be canceled every few years. It's simply the right thing to do.
Like a lot more. It's hard to tell if this is good or bad, but it's understandable, I think. The return is so absurd 10 years later that you can't help but reference it. And the plot of the episode was ripe for it as well. Let's talk about that for a second, because buried deep in the plot, I think is the best sign that the show is in good hands. Quick version, Fry decides that he's going to binge all the TV on Hulu. After watching almost everything, Fry finds out that there are like 13,000 episodes of All My Circuits. He puts on a still suit and drills a monitor directly into his frontal cortex to binge watch the series. When he's nearing the end, the professor scans his brain and realizes that it's fully synced with the TV waves, meaning
If he reaches the end of the series, God forbid, his consciousness will be severed.
the crew go to Hulu headquarters to get All My Circuits rebooted for streaming. They bring Calculon back from the dead again, resulting in my favorite sequence in the episode.
Will you shut up and get into the resurrection cannon?
Later, the series is canceled again. They try to ease Fry out of his binge. They accidentally light him on fire. The crew believes Fry has been reduced to nothing but ash, only for him to walk in moments later because he stopped binging 2 days earlier. If you're a newer viewer to the show, you might be confused. Fry just getting out of the chair whatever he wanted completely undercuts the main conflict of the episode. Longtime fans of the show, however, will know that you can't scan Fry's brain. He doesn't have a delta brainwave.
And he has absolutely no brain activity. Look, he lost the strange insect parts.
He's back to normal.
The professor being careless and wrong about something and sending the crew on a wild goose chase for a reason that is ultimately kind of silly or meaningless is a Futurama staple.
Oops.
Look, I understand if you want to call bullshit on this take. From a basic storytelling perspective, it's not great, but if you're gonna tell me that they probably didn't think about it that hard and I'm just trying to force it to make sense, remember that this is the series that wrote a mathematical theory for the plot of one of their episodes. My point is, they do put the thought in. Overall, the episode has solid jokes, pulls out a lot of old characters, fucking resurrects Slurms Mackenzie. Sorry, that's just like great news for me. I love Slurms. Less great for him, though. He does not look great. While I ultimately enjoyed the episode and think it's a sign of good things to come, it's not without its issues. And I'll start with some harmless nitpicking.
Hang on, Leela. I think the execubons have some constructive notes.
If I'm being really harsh, Bender's eyes and visor are a little inconsistent both in the episode and with the series at large. It's hard to tell if his eyes are just a little big sometimes, or if they're sitting at the top of his visor instead of the bottom of the visor, which is where they usually sit. Also, the 10-year gap shows in the voice acting, which is like to be expected. Once again, I'm being incredibly harsh here. I don't think either of these things are problems. I just noticed them. Now, what I do think is a problem is this shit. Scruffy has a word search magazine instead of a porno mag? For shame.
You will no longer provide complimentary porno magazines in the lounge.
Huh.
Darn it.
Never mind then. Okay, but seriously, petty nitpicks aside, I do actually have one pretty big issue with this episode. The cold open recap says this.
I offered to reset the universe to the instant before time stopped.
But the original episode, meanwhile, says this.
Should rip us out of stasis back to the instant before I conceived of the time button.
This might seem like a nitpick, but something very important happened between when the professor conceived the device and time stopped. I mean, it feels like they should be engaged, but that would make these comments from Hermes and Amy really odd.
You're not fobbing that girlfriend duty off on me.
Kif has a single friend.
I mean, they definitely can't be engaged because I feel like Leela would have said, my fiance Fry here, not...
Our friend Fry. He's gonna die.
I get it. They want to reboot the relationship, but I feel like it could have been handled better. Honestly, they could have just had the professor deliver the original line, cut to the opening credits from there, and then have them deliver those reboot lines with them sitting around the table at the Planet Express headquarters or something like that. The delivery is a bit sloppy, is what I'm saying. Not only is the line different, but the point in time that they return to is wrong. It doesn't really exist. When time froze, Fry and Leela were on the ground level, not on the roof deck. Look, the lack of attention to detail, it undercuts my earlier point about the writer's attention to detail, not undercutting the plot of the episode, which sucks. Ultimately, I still maintain the series, though, is in good hands. Hulu is planning on doing an episodic release of the series, which is odd given the amount of binging jokes in the episode.
In my opinion, they must stream no more than 10 episodes in a row, and no less.
So we'll just have to wait and see. This video should be going up on Monday along with the new episode of Futurama. From the description, it looks like the new episode is going to feature Kif and Amy's kids, a callback to Kif gets knocked up a notch from the OG run of the series.
And in 20 years, they'll sprout legs and crawl back onto land as children.
Which, like I said, good signs, if you ask me. Check back next week if you want my thoughts on the new episode, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.